Hi, my name is Bill Hefferton. I'm a retired teacher with over 30 years experience. I've witnessed bullying in the classroom by students who are overbearing and dominant. Through, through innovative and well thought out tactics, bullying can be reduced a great deal. I've written a lovely little children's book which uses creative and intelligent ways to outsmart the bully. It's called Charlie the Confident Crow. Also in this book, you can find a song which I wrote along with my son-in-law, Don Baker, who recorded it in Austin, Texas. Charlie the Confident Crow.
This is a story about bullying and how a special crow who flew over the open skies of Ontario, and how he overcame the bullies and became known as Charlie the Confident Crow of Chatham. Every day that the sun shone brightly in a cloudless sky, Charlie Crow cruised over the town of Chatham, Ontario. Charlie was not alone on his daily journeys. Millions of crows, including Charlie's cousins, brothers, and sisters, flew with him over the town. He loved flying, and his favorite place to visit was Fleming's Farm, which was located on the edge of town by the old train track. Even though Charlie Crow loved flying, he also loved to perch in trees. Farmer Fleming's farm was covered with trees. Apple trees, peach trees, and cherry trees filled the entire property. Charlie had two favorite places to perch. One was a tall, beautiful weeping willow next to the Farmer Fleming's pig pen. He enjoyed watching the pigs getting dirty and the chickens running around in their coop. His other favorite spot was on the clothesline post next to the farmhouse, overlooking the farmer's pond, where he could look for predators, especially in the mornings and late at night. Turkey vultures, falcons, hawks, owls, and eagles frightened Charlie because they were much bigger than he was. Some of these birds were even brought in by Farmer Fleming and his neighbors to scare Charlie and the other crows into leaving Chatham forever. Because of the vast population of crows and the damage to the crops, especially the corn, these predator birds were introduced. Charlie was different from the other crows. He had a white streak that went from his beak to the tip of his tail. This made him stand out from the crowd, and he was tormented about his looks. However, that did not stop him from being confident, courageous, and cunning. The rest of the crows looked at Charlie as different from them. He could not attract the females. He kept to himself, and when he did fly into the group, they would taunt and tease him until he left. When he did leave the group, he thought this was their loss, and one day he would show them his true colors. But this was different. Being accepted into his crow family or being scared away by bully predators. For weeks, he practiced perching straight with his back held high. He flapped his wings with authority, exposing the white streak on his back. Even though many of the crows were scared away, Charlie was determined to stay because he loved the beautiful community of Chatham. He knew it was going to be difficult, but he had to stand up to the bigger birds who were bullying the entire crow population. Charlie also knew he wasn't the strongest, and other animals made fun of his intelligence. They said he was a bird brain and couldn't do anything except fly around aimlessly every day, cawing at life in general. One sunny Sunday morning, Charlie Crow was practicing being more confident. Suddenly, a fearless falcon named Freddie frantically flew by Farmer Fleming's farm, looking to bully a crow. He spotted Charlie Crow and flew down at him. He couldn't wait to pick on Charlie Crow and send him flying out of Chatham for good. Just before Freddie Falcon's sharp, razor-like claws grabbed him, Charlie noticed Freddie and swooped off the clothesline post, and the chase was on. Charlie wanted to turn around and stand up to Freddie, but he knew he would be in big trouble. Charlie knew his only chance was to outsmart Freddie, so he flew back and forth a number of times to shake Freddie off his trail. Nothing was working, so an idea popped into his head, and he swooped down by the local chip wagon. He knew at this time of day the oil was getting ready for the next big order of Newfoundland cod and chips. The oil was being prepared by the local operator, Francine the French fry Fraulein. Charlie Crow flew in as fast as a hummingbird that day. He startled Francine because he thought she might wave her arms in the air and ruin Freddie Falcon's flight path. Not only did Francine wave her hands in the air, but she knocked the crock pot of cold cooking oil into the air. The oil landed on Charlie Crow, and the crock pot landed on Freddie Falcon. Charlie looked back and realized Freddie was no longer chasing him. He flew back to Farmer Fleming's farm to get cleaned up. He was just about to clean up the cooking oil off his feathers at his favorite pond when he noticed something unusual. His beautiful black feathers were shining brightly in the sun. Charlie Crow was glowing, even though he was sticky. He felt different in a good way as he saw his reflection in the pond. He also saw another beautiful black bird. It was a female crow named Cheryl. She was just on her way out of town when she realized that all the crows had not left Chatham yet. Here was this crow that had scared away the famous falcon named Freddie, Charlie Crow. She figured, because of Charlie's exotic looks, the white streak down his back, that Charlie had special powers to ward off the enemy. Cheryl got to meet Charlie, and she was about to talk to him when Freddie appeared again and swooped down out of the sky above. As Charlie stuck out his wing to protect Cheryl, a radiant ray of sunshine hit Charlie's wing, all covered in cooking oil. The brightness blinded Freddie, and he flew beak first into the nearby pond. All the other predator birds were watching this unfold. They knew Freddie Falcon was the toughest and meanest bird around town. If he couldn't get rid of Charlie, none of them could. They all started flapping their wings and flew out of Chatham. This was the last day that Charlie and the other crows of Chatham had problems with Freddie Falcon and the other birds. After the last predator birds had flown out of town, Charlie and Cheryl flew back to Fleming's farm together. They soared higher than eagles that day, and Charlie felt like he was touching the sun in a journey of love. Charlie then asked Cheryl if she would like to perch on his favorite clothesline post. She agreed and gave him the biggest bird hug ever. As years flew by, Charlie and Cheryl continued flying over Chatham. They did have to stay closer to town because they had a nest of beautiful baby birds. The clothesline post was now a rookery. Charlie Crow couldn't wait to tell his children how on a hot summer's day he stood up to the big bad bird, Freddie Falcon, and because of that, he became Charlie the Confident Crow of Chatham.
Charlie was an ordinary kind of bird with a white stripe on his back. He flew around Chatham, going from field to field, feeding mostly near the tracks. And he was ousted by his friends and family because of the way he looked. He never ever lost his confidence, even when he would get shook. Oh, Charlie was a confident crow, and Chatham loves you, this I know. Then one day the bullies all arrived, and Charlie, he never backed down. From the oil and the grease from Francine's fries made all the mean birds frown. Oh, Charlie was a confident crow, and Chatham loves you, this I know. Charlie's love was on the rise when his love for Cheryl came true. He made his home back at Fleming's farm when the little ones started anew. Charlie's family still remains ordinary birds with those white stripes on their backs. They fly around Chatham, going from field to field, feeding mostly near the track. Oh, Charlie was a confident